Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the world of biology. Today we will start the unit number 5, chapter number 13, organisms and populations. First of all, what do you mean by the organisms? Basically, as far as biology is concerned, the assembly of molecules that shows life is known as molecules. There is a great diversity in the organisms can be seen on earth. Basically, these may be further categorized in microbes, plants and animals. In this chapter, we will study about the organisms and populations. Basically, what kind of factors that can affect the organism and its activity. So, have a look on the PPTs. So in this chapter, let's start organisms and its environment. The rotation of sun and the tilt of its axis cause annual variations in the intensity and the duration of temperature, resulting distinct seasons. So you can see what are the regions of seasons on the earth. The basic reason behind this rotation of sun and the tilt of its axis. It will cause the variation in the temperature that will be responsible for seasons. You can see the seasons in the world: winter season, spring season, summer season and autumn. And as far as its time period is concerned, December to February, spring season is March to May, summer season is June to August, and the autumn season is September to November. So you can see a biome is what? You need to learn the definition. A biome is a community of plants and animals that have common characteristics for the environment they exist in. Every biome has its own specific characters. Flora means plants and fauna means animals. So you can see the type of biomes. These variations along with annual variations in the precipitation it means rain and any form of water that comes on the surface of earth forms major biomes. So temperature and precipitation will decide the type of biomes, and the biome may be desert biome, rainforest biome, tundra biome and other biomes also. So there is a figure is given here. You can see desert biome, rainforest biome, marine biome, temperate forest biome, taiga forest biome, savanna, tundra and lands. Similarly, this is the figure taken from your book 13.2. Major biomes of India. Tropical rainforest biome. This is the biome where you can see the high level of precipitation. Deciduous forest, desert biome and sea coast biomes. This is very important graph given here. Figure number 13.1, biome distribution with respect to annual temperature and precipitation. You can correlate the type of biome with annual temperature and precipitation. You can see we will start from Arctic and Alpine tundra. At the x-axis, mean annual precipitation is given in centimeters, while this is the annual mean temperature in degree centigrade. So you can see the temperature is -10 to almost 0 degree centigrade and the precipitation is almost 50 to 125. It will show the Arctic and Alpine tundra biome. Similarly, you can see this one desert biome, orange in color. So the temperature is comparatively very high, but the precipitation is less than 50 centimeter per year, and it will show the high temperature, low precipitation. This is the desert biome. On the other hand, you can see this yellow color graph, grassland. It has lower to higher temperature range, but the precipitation level is up to 100 centimeter per year. Similarly, this is coniferous forest. The temperature is less than 15 and the precipitation is 50 to 250 centimeter per year. This is the green region. This is known as temperate forest. You can see temperature is high and the precipitation is also high. And the next and last is tropical forest. So these are the forests where average temperature is always high and the rain is about to 150 centimeter per year to 400 centimeter per year. So we can find out the type of forest, type of biome on the basis of annual mean temperature and annual precipitation. Temperature, water, light and soil are the key elements that lead to so much variation in the physical and chemical conditions of habitats. Both biotic and abiotic components characterize the habitat of an organism. So you can see habitat, nature and type of organism is decided by the factors, and these factors are two types: biotic components and abiotic components. Have a look on the components of an ecosystem. Each organism has two main components, abiotic and biotic. What do you mean by abiotic? Abiotic means non-living components. The non-living factor or the physical environment prevailing in an ecosystem forms abiotic components. And abiotic components can further be subdivided in two categories: climatic factors and edaphic factors. Climatic factors are rain, temperature, light, wind and humidity. It is related to climate. And edaphic factors, it is related to soil. It includes soil, pH, topography and the minerals. So, first of all, measure abiotic factors. We will discuss about the temperature. You can see the temperature decreases progressively from equator towards the pole. As we move from equator to pole, temperature will decline. And high altitudes to greater than 50 degrees centigrade in tropical deserts in summer. Similar situation can be seen at the sea water level to top of the mountains. Thermal springs, basically these are known as chasma, and deep sea hydrothermal vents are unique with temperature 100 degree centigrade or more. So there are many places in the world where temperature of water is greater than 100 degrees centigrade. Temperature affects the kinetics of enzyme. What are the impacts of temperature? It will affect the kinetics of enzyme, BMR, basic metabolic rate, and the other physiological actions. There are two types of organisms on the basis of temperature tolerance. So we can divide the organisms in two categories: eurythermal and stenothermals. Eurythermal organisms which can tolerate wide range of temperature. They can tolerate the higher temperatures also. Example is acacia and monitor lizard. These two examples are taken from desert biome. And stenothermal organisms which can tolerate narrow range of temperature. The range of temperature is very narrow, minus 10 to 5 degrees centigrade. Salmon fish and the penguin. Penguin is a bird. You can see the abiotic factors by this figure. Sunlight, basically sun is the source of light and it affects the temperature of the biome. Wind, rain, water and soil. So these are the climatic factors and soil is related to edaphic factors. The second abiotic factor is water. We all know that water is a universal solvent and useful for living organisms. Water is also an important factor that influences the life of organisms. The productivity and the distribution of plant is also depends on the water. You can see uh, see the greenery everywhere in the nature during the rainy season, and in summers it is absent. Similarly, the salinity varies in aquatic environment. Salinity means presence of salt in different concentrations. If the salt concentration is up to 5%, then it is known as fresh water, example ponds, lakes, rivers, etc. In the seawater, the level of salt or salinity is 30 to 35%, for example, Indian Oceans and other oceans of the world. And there are some places where the salinity is almost 100% or more than this. And its example, well-known example is McMurdo dry valleys such as Lake Vanda. So you can take this example. It is the hypersaline lagoon. On the basis of salinity, organisms are categorized into groups euryhaline and stenohaline. Euryhaline means organism which can tolerate wide range of salinity. They can tolerate the high concentration of salts in the water. For example, green crab. On the other hand, stenohaline organisms which can tolerate narrow range of salinity. If you will put these animals in the hyperhaline lagoons or sea water, then they may die. Example, bull shark. So the third abiotic factor is light. Plant produce food by photosynthesis. Photosynthesis requires visible light, which only possible in the presence of light. Hence, it is very important for autotrophs. So, autotrophs directly requires visible light. Plant species, herbs and shrubs adapted for photosynthesis under canopy. There are few plants in the nature which requires comparatively lower light. They can grow under the canopy of the different plants. Sunlight is required for photoperiodic response like flowering, and flowering is also require sunlight. Animals use diurnal and seasonal variations in the light intensity and photoperiods as cues for timing their foraging, reproductive and migration. So light is also important. The next abiotic factor is soil. Properties of soil vary according to the climate, the weathering process. Soil composition, we can see the different type of soil composition. It is also the part of practical examination. Its grain size, aggregation to determine the percolation and water holding capacity of the soil. So these are the two important characteristics of the soil. Percolation. What is the percolating rate of water in the soil? And the another is WHC, water holding capacity. These characteristics along with pH, mineral composition and topography determine to a large extent of vegetation in any area. So type of vegetation is decided by the soil composition, soil pH, mineral composition and different factors. The sediment characteristic often determine the type of benthic animal in aquatic environment. So it is also the important aspect for living organisms. You can see the basic type of soils. This is sandy soil, this is slate soil, this is clay soil. These cracks can be seen, and loamy soil. Loamy soil is comparatively best soil as far as living organisms and vegetation is concerned. Now the next is response to abiotic factors. We have discussed the different types of abiotic factors. Now what is the response from the living organisms with respect to abiotic factors? There is an important definition, homeostasis. This definition we have already discussed in class 11th. in the excretory system. The process by which the organism maintain a constant internal environment in respect to changing external environment. Basically, our body shows a constant internal environment. Our concentration, our pH, everything is controlled. How does organism cope with the changing environment? Suppose you have changed the environmental conditions, then how will organism respond? On the basis of this change, the organisms are categorized in three parts: regulators, which will try to maintain the internal environment in every condition; conformers, which will change their self; and partial conformers. Initially they will resist and show the changes. Homeostasis, a living things adjust to their surroundings. It is the regulation of internal environment to maintain a constant state. Example, body temperature. Suppose you are living in the equator area where the external temperature is high, but our body temperature will remain constant up to 37 degrees centigrade. And now you move from equator to Himalayas, where the temperature is very low, but our body temperature will remain same. This is the homeostasis. How will we maintain our body temperature? The first type of organisms are regulators. What are the regulators? There are some organisms which are able to maintain homeostasis, physiological, sometimes behavioral also means, which ensures constant body temperature and constant osmotic concentration. So regulators are the organism which can maintain the body temperature as well as osmotic concentration. For example, all birds and mammals and few lower invertebrates are capable of such regulation. It is known as thermoregulation if body temperature is maintained, and osmoregulation if the concentration of body is maintained. Success of mammals is due to thermoregulation. The mammals are the successful animals in the world because they can maintain the temperature. It is called thermoregulation. We maintain a constant body temperature of 37 degree centigrade. When outside temperature is high, we sweat profusely and evaporating cooling takes place to bring body temperature down. Suppose if the environmental temperature is higher, then our body will show sweating, and due to sweating it will show the cooling effect to lower down the body temperature. Similarly, in winters, due to low temperature outside, our body temperature falls below 37. We start to shiver to generate heat to raise body temperature. So these are the regulators. Similarly, what are the conformers? Why the conformers not evolved to become regulators? The thermoregulation is energetically expensive for many animals. So thermoregulation requires a very high amount of energy. It is very expensive process. Small animals like shrews and hummingbirds. So you can see the figure. This is the shrew. It's just looking like a rat, but it is a shrew. And this is world's smallest bird. Smallest bird of the world is hummingbird. So shrews and hummingbirds cannot afford so much energy to thermoregulate. Although this is mammal and this is aves bird, but they are unable to maintain the body temperature. Small animals have larger surface area relative to their volume. So in comparison of body volume, the surface area is larger. They tend to lose the body heat very fast when it is cold outside, then has to expend much energy to generate body heat through metabolism. So rate of metabolism will increase in the lower temperature conditions. This is why very small animals are rarely found in the polar regions. So this is an important question. Small animals cannot live in polar regions. What is the reason? Because thermoregulation is very expensive for these animals. They cannot live. A graph is taken from your book, figure 13.3. You can see the red colored graph can be seen. This is internal level of temperature or osmotic concentration, and it is external level. Suppose environmental temperature is 5 degree, 10, 20, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. But still this red line is showing the regulators which is maintaining the internal level. So which can maintain the temperature and osmotic concentration is called regulators. This green colored graph, it is showing the graph related to conformers. As temperature will increase, then body temperature will increase. It is showing the variation in the temperature according to environment. At higher temperature, their body temperature will increase, and at lower temperature, body will decrease. Similarly, partial regulators. There are some organisms, initially they will show the conformers nature and after that become regulators. So it is very important graph. Now the next is alternative response for stressful conditions. What do you mean by stressful conditions? Extreme higher temperature, extreme lower temperature. This is the stressful condition. Extreme higher salt concentration or lower salt concentration. This is also stressful condition. So alternative response to stressful conditions is localized or remains for short duration. So there are two types of response can be seen by the organisms. First is migration and the second is suspend. So migration, the organism moved away temporarily from the stressful habitat to a more hospitable area and returned when stressful condition is over. Suppose there is an increase in the temperature, then the organism will leave that place and move towards the lower temperature area. Birds migrate from the colder regions to warmer regions. For example, great grey owl, great spotted woodpecker, waxwing, and coltit. These are the migratory birds. They show the migration in the nature. What is suspend condition or suspension? You can see thick-walled spores are formed in microbes to overcome unfavorable stressful external environment. So in the stressful condition, organism will form spores to remain alive. Spores germinate in favorable conditions. Similarly, in higher plants, seeds and other vegetative reproductive structures are means to tide over the stress. So they reduce their metabolic activity and going into a state of dormancy. They becomes inactive. This is known as dormancy. Examples of suspension. We will discuss two types of suspensions here. Three types of suspensions here. The first is hibernation, estivation, and diapause. So what is hibernation? The condition of or period of an animal or plant spending the winter in a dormant state. At the lower temperature conditions, animals and plant becomes inactive. Example, during winter, animals like bears escape in time. They become inactive at a spot. You can see this polar bear, it is inactive. Its rate of respiration is decreased, metabolic activities are decreased, rate of heart is decreased. What is estivation? It is a state of animal dormancy similar to hibernation, although taking place in the summer rather than the winter. When the temperature is very high, then some animals will disappear from the open area. Animals like snail, fish avoid summer related problems like heat and desiccation. This is the figure of desert lizard. What is diapause? It is the delay in development in response to regularly and recurring periods of adverse environmental conditions. So what will you see? When the environmental conditions are adverse, then the development will become delay. Example, many zooplanktons undergo a stage of suspended development in unfavorable conditions. You can see this figure, it is showing dipoles condition. Now the next part of this chapter is adaptation. So whenever you are living in the cold region or hot region, your body itself shows changes and it will become the part of adaptation. So adaptation is any attribute of the organism that enables the organism to survive and reproduce in its habitat. So adaptation will help in the survival of the organism in different conditions. First, adaptation of animals in deserts. So this is also the part of practical. So be careful. Kangaroo rat is an example of desert animal. Kangaroo rat meets their water requirement from oxidation of fat. This is important. From where does the kangaroo rat obtains water? Then your answer must be oxidation of fat. And excrete very concentrate urine to conserve water. So for the conservation of water, it will excrete the concentrate urine. This is the figure of kangaroo rat. Kangaroo rat, its scientific name is Dipodomys deserti. They have a large hind feet that keep them from sinking into the sand. Their hind legs are comparatively larger. Kangaroo rats dig burrows to protect themselves from predators and heat. It can dig the burrows. Kangaroo rats are also nocturnal. Generally, it loves to come outside in the night from its burrow, avoiding the heat during the day. Large ears help dissipate heat, and kangaroo rats may obtain their water from the food they eat. So it does not drink the water because it fulfills its water requirement from the predator. The next is adaptation of plants in desert xerophytes. So thick cuticle on the leaf surface, you can see the thick cuticle on the surface of Calotropis leaf, sunken stomata, both to reduce transpiration. Sunken stomata will reduce the rate of transpiration and have special photosynthetic pathway like CAM, cressulation, acid metabolism. Stomata closed during daytime and remained open during night. This is the next part. Opuntia has no leaf. Leaves are absent in the Opuntia plant. They are reduced to spines. So photosynthesis takes place in flat green stems. These are known as phylloid. This is very important. Example, Opuntia, Nag funny. It is also the part of your practical syllabus. Adaptation of animal in cold climate. How does the animal survive in cold climatic conditions? So, two important facts are given in this point. Allen's rule, very important. Mammals from colder climate generally have shorter ears and limbs to minimize heat loss. This is given by Allen. It is Allen's rule. Seeds of polar aquatic seas have a thick layer of fat called blubber. Blubber below their skin that acts as insulator and reduce loss of body heat. So it will help in the reduction in loss of heat. You can see the figure. This is polar seal and this is the cold conditions given. Adaptation in high altitudes. A person moved to high altitude. It means if a person is moving above the 3500 meters, then it develops altitude sickness. It is important point. Last year question was asked with on this point. So what are the symptoms of altitude sickness? When you are going to visit the Rohtang Valley or Badrinath, Kedarnath, Kullu, Manali, etc., then you feel some sort of tiredness and specific conditions. This is the altitude sickness. Symptoms developed are nausea, fatigue, and heart palpitations. This is due to low atmospheric pressure of high altitudes. At the higher altitudes, concentration of oxygen become lower. Partial pressure of oxygen become lower. The body does not get enough oxygen. So body will face the lack of oxygen. For example, Rohtang Valley. Similarly, in this condition, how does the body solve the problem? How the body will solve the problem? The body compensate low oxygen availability by increasing red blood cell production. So if you are going to Rohtang, then you will have to stay some time. Your body will produce red blood cells more and more, so RBC production will increase. The body compensate decreasing binding capacity of hemoglobin, and the hemoglobin will show the less oxygen binding capacity with oxygen by increasing rate of breathing. So we can see the higher breathing rate at higher altitudes. Physiological adaptations: low partial pressure of oxygen in comparison of alveolar and arterial hypoxia and tissue hypoxia. Higher tissue oxygen demand met by rise in cardiac output and pulmonary ventilation. So cardiac output will increase, pulmonary ventilation will increase. Tachypnea and tachycardia. Hypoxic drive with time, the higher frequency replaced by amplitude rise. And erythropoietin from kidney. So our kidney will release more erythropoietin. This is a hormone. RBC count will increase and hemoglobin will increase. So these are many more other factors. The next is behavioral adaptations. Desert lizards are conformer, hence they cope with the stressful environment by behavioral adaptation. So we are going to see the another practical part. Desert lizards, they bask in the sun and absorb heat when their body temperature drops below. So in the winter season, desert lizard will come out from the burrow and they will bask in the sunlight, cross below the comfort zone in the winter, move to shade when the ambient temperature starts increasing. When the environmental temperature starts increasing, then they will move in the shady area. Some species burrowing into the soil to hide and escape from the above ground heat. They will love to live in the burrows. So, in this chapter, we have discussed about the organisms, and as a part of organisms, we have discussed about the biomes, types of biomes, and the factors that affects the nature of the biome, type of vegetation, type of flora and fauna. They were further subdivided in abiotic factors and biotic factors. Abiotic factors are those factors which are non-living, such as sunlight, wind, rain, soil, topography, etc. On the other hand, in the biotic factors, flora and fauna are kept in this one, and other than this, parasites are also important part of the biotic factors. Similarly, we have discussed about the adaptations. How can an animal and a plant can survive, that will decide the same type of adaptations, and In the adaptations, we have discussed about the monitor lizard, that is the desert adaptations, and in the cold climatic factors. So, dear students, in this chapter, we have finished the first part of this chapter, that is organisms. So, thank you very much. Have a nice day.